Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. Today we're checking out the Asus Swift PG278QR 1440p 165Hz G-Sync gaming monitor. And let's get right into it with the key specs. So this is a 27-inch 2560 by 1440 TN monitor. Now it's coming with a 165Hz refresh rate, which is very high, a bit higher than the standard 144Hz we see on a lot of 1440p gaming monitors, and it has a great response time of 1 ms. Now this is G-Sync enabled, which means you're not going to see any ghosting or any tearing with it enabled. However, remember that you do need an NVIDIA GPU to take advantage of G-Sync. It will not work with your AMD GPU. It also has NVIDIA's 3D vision technology, which pretty much nobody cares about anymore for the most part anyway. It has their low blue light mode. I like that one quite a bit. That's good if you're a person like me that gets dry eyes a lot of the time. It will, harm the image quality a little bit, but once you get used to it, it's quite good. It's easier on your eyes, and that's really nice. And there's just loads of adjustments with this monitor, so that's really good. So let's talk about the design then. So design-wise, I would say it looks good, but it's not like new. I'm not seeing anything new in it. It has the red ring around the base there on the stand. You can turn that off if you don't like it. And that looks cool, but it's otherwise pretty standard. There's quite a bit of adjustment though, so I really like that. As far as tilt goes, you get 20 degrees up, 5 degrees down. You get 60 degrees of swivel, which is way more than most people need, and 180 degrees of pivot, which is quite over the top. One good thing that it has is 120 millimeters of height adjustment. That's really useful. It gets it dialed in at your eye line very nicely. It has a huge stand, which is actually a little bit of a problem. I mean, it's never going to fall over, but it means you can't really push the monitor back that far if you've got your desk right up against a wall. But it's not really the end of the world. I/O-wise, you get HDMI port, a display port, a 3.5mm jack, and a few USB ports. Honestly, for the most part, you should be using DisplayPort. There should be no reason why you're using HDMI. Just use the DisplayPort, especially if you're wanting to run it at 165Hz at 1440p, and you're wanting to use G-Sync. And if you're not taking advantage of those things, then you pretty much shouldn't buy this monitor. Now let's talk about the image quality, because this is the most important part. So when I got this out of the box and started using it, I was actually quite shocked that it wasn't that good. But that's because the stock settings are really bad. However, once you get it dialed in, it's much better, and it's actually quite impressive for a TN panel. The menu is very easy to use with the joystick on the back, and it made setting it up very easy. The TN panel isn't very good in terms of viewing angles, but it makes up for it in just pure speed. And it doesn't really matter for most people anyway, because you're just going to be looking straight at it. You can get similar spec monitors with IPS panels, but I would think that most people that are just gaming don't really need to bother. If you're doing content creation and gaming, then maybe it'll be a bit better for you then. But still, this TN panel was just fine for me, and I was editing videos on it, and I edited this video on it that you're watching right now. The 165Hz refresh rate is absolutely awesome, and it does give you an advantage in gaming. This makes it a little bit easier to aim at people when you're playing first-person shooter games. I've been playing a lot of Rainbow Six Siege lately. It's my main game, and it just makes it a little bit easier to aim at people. You just feel a little bit faster. It feels a little bit crisper, and once you go back to 60Hz, it does feel just a bit harder to play the game. But if you're someone who only plays racing games, for example, or mostly plays racing games, it also helps there because it just allows you to corner a little bit better. You find it a bit easier to clip the apex, and it's just makes it a little bit easier. No, it's not going to be a huge advantage, but it does help, and you do notice it. Now, having G-Sync, that's also really good. No tearing, no ghosting. That's really nice. That just makes the gaming experience sort of that bit better, and it's kind of like the cherry on top. And overall, I really loved it for gaming. Once you get this monitor dialed in, it's one of the best gaming monitors I've ever used. It is seriously good. So if you're an enthusiast and you're looking for a great gaming monitor, this is one to take a look at. Which brings us now to the conclusion. We have to bring price into the equation. So this thing is not cheap. It's coming in at 1,099 New Zealand dollars currently at Playtech, which is expensive. However, considering the features that this has, I would say it is worth it for enthusiasts. It has very high-end specs, and once you get it set up correctly, this is a really, really good monitor. I've said it for years now, that 1440p high refresh rate monitors with G-Sync or FreeSync respectively are the best all-round gaming monitor that you can buy for people that are purely gamers. For people like me that also do content creation, it's often better to go towards the 4K displays just because of the screen real estate. But for people that are doing just mainly gaming, these 1440p high refresh rate ones are very, very good for it. The Asus PG278QR is very, very good. I really like this monitor and I would recommend it to you guys out there. The one thing I will say though is that you do have to pair it with a high-powered NVIDIA GPU. On the current generation, I would say I wouldn't drop below a GTX 1070. If you have a 1070, then you could run this monitor just fine. 1080, obviously I tested it with a 1080 Ti and it was very, very good. But if you have something like a 1060, I'd maybe think about upgrading your GPU first before investing in a monitor like this. Now I thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time.